In the aftermath of the Battle of Shattered Gates, human coalition forces decisively defeated the Krythian invasion fleet that had terrorized frontier colonies for years. Among the defeated was Queen Seraphina Voidwhisper, a young monarch who commanded one of the invasion battle groups. Her capture was significant militarily and politically. Krythian queens were rarely taken alive, and her presence created opportunities for intelligence gathering and negotiation leverage. The situation became complicated when Krythian military survivors, desperate to negotiate honorable surrender terms, attempted what they believed was a diplomatic gesture based on their misunderstanding of human culture. A Krythian warrior diplomat approached human command with what he presented as a gift to honor your victory. Queen Seraphina herself, offered as tribute in accordance with Krythian traditions, where defeated leaders are sometimes given to victorious commanders as symbols of complete surrender. The human command staff, horrified by what sounded like offering a sentient being as property, immediately rejected the gesture. But the Krythian delegation interpreted rejection as insult. In their culture, refusing such a gift suggested the victors didn't consider them worthy of proper diplomatic relations. The compromise was awkward. Queen Seraphina would be placed in custody of Major Marcus Webb, the human officer whose tactical decisions were critical to victory. But this would be framed as protective detention rather than ownership, affording her all rights due prisoners of war. The Krythians could tell their people their queen was presented to a worthy victor. The humans could maintain they were simply providing secure detention for a high-value prisoner. Queen Seraphina got no say in any of it, which terrified her more than the battle's outcome. From Seraphina's perspective, the situation was a nightmare. Krythian propaganda portrayed humans as savage monsters who devoured their enemies, tortured captives for entertainment, committed atrocities that made Krythian military actions seem benevolent by comparison. These stories were exaggerations designed to dehumanize the enemy, but Seraphina believed them because she'd never had reason to question information from her own military intelligence. When she was escorted to Major Webb's quarters, Spartan military accommodation on the command ship, she was convinced she was being taken where she'd be consumed. Her terror was genuine and overwhelming. Marcus was completely unprepared for the responsibility of having an alien queen in his custody, and even less prepared for her visible terror. His first interaction was through a translator device. "Your Majesty, you're safe here. You're a prisoner of war, which means you have rights and protections under human conventions. I know this situation is strange, but I promise you won't be harmed." Seraphina's response carried pure terror. "If you're going to devour me, please make it quick. The stories say your kind tortures before consuming. I ask only for swift death rather than prolonged suffering." Marcus's brain took several seconds to process this. When understanding hit, he was horrified. "Wait, you think, Your Majesty, humans don't eat people. We don't devour enemies or torture prisoners." He stopped because the answer was obvious. Krythian propaganda designed to make their military willing to fight by portraying humans as monsters. "I don't know what you've been told about humans, but we don't consume sapient beings. You're a prisoner of war, which means you'll be treated according to established conventions. Safe quarters, adequate food, medical care, and respect for your basic dignity." Seraphina wanted to believe him, but years of cultural conditioning didn't evaporate because one human spoke reassuring words. She remained terrified, watching Marcus with the wariness of prey expecting predation. Marcus, recognizing words alone wouldn't overcome her fear, started demonstrating through actions. He showed her the quarters she'd occupy, a spare cabin featuring a door that locked from the inside, giving her control over her own space. He provided food, standard military rations, nutritionally compatible according to medical scans, and ate the same food in front of her, demonstrating it was safe. He gave her clean clothing to replace her damaged uniform, privacy to change, and basic amenities suggesting long-term accommodation, rather than temporary holding before execution. Over following days, Marcus's consistent behavior began eroding Seraphina's terror. He brought meals regularly, never demanded anything, provided entertainment options, and treated her with courtesy, contradicting everything she was taught about human savagery. She started asking questions, testing whether his apparent kindness was psychological torture or genuine. "Why do you provide for me? If I am your captive, why not simply take what you want?" Marcus's answers were consistently honest and patient. "Because you're a person, not property. Because treating prisoners humanely is both morally right and strategically smart. And honestly, because I can't imagine treating someone cruelly just because circumstances put them in my custody. That's not who I am or who humans are supposed to be." Over weeks, something unexpected developed. Genuine trust built on accumulated evidence that Marcus meant what he said. Seraphina began understanding that propaganda about humans was designed to manipulate her into supporting an unjust invasion, that the monsters she fought were people with their own cultures and ethics. She also began grappling with uncomfortable truths. If the Krythians lied about humans being savage devourers, what else did they lie about? Marcus learned about Krythian culture through conversations that evolved into genuine friendship. He discovered that queens were trained from birth to command, that Seraphina never chose military leadership but was born into it, that she carried guilt about the invasion even though she was following orders. The relationship created complications. Marcus's superiors worried about inappropriate fraternization. Seraphina's former subordinates viewed her treatment with varying interpretations. Some saw humiliation, others recognized dignity she wouldn't receive from her own people. When preliminary peace negotiations began, Seraphina became a valuable voice because her months with Marcus gave her perspective that pure military negotiators lacked. But her advocacy for humans created accusations of collaboration from hardliners in her government. During the formal exchange returning Seraphina to Krythian custody, she spoke privately with Marcus one final time. "When I was given to you, I thought you would devour me. I believed the stories because I had no reason to question them. Instead, you offered food, warmth, safety, and respect, things I wouldn't have received from my own military if positions were reversed. You shattered everything I believed about enemies, and showed me that the only person in this entire conflict who treated me with genuine dignity was the one I was taught to fear most." Marcus's response carried weight of their months together. "When they gave you to me as a gift, I was horrified by the idea of treating a person as property. I provided basic decency because that's what humans are supposed to do. I'm glad my actions helped you see that propaganda and truth aren't the same thing." Seraphina's final words carried gratitude and sadness. "I was a queen who commanded invasion forces, certain of my civilization's superiority and my enemy's depravity. You were a soldier assigned an impossible responsibility. What we became to each other, what you showed me about humanity and about myself, will shape how